Welcome back to Cast Me to Hell with me, Seb.
And me, Robbie.
And we return this week to our creature feature season with Lake Placid.
Yes, we are getting our jaws around this creature feature. I don't know how many times I'm going to say that throughout this season of creature features.
We did begin with jaws. So.
We did, and I'm going to say it every episode because I'm trying to think of puns related to it. Lake Placid it's an interesting film.
Your actual title for it is
Lake Placid because that's kind of how I felt watching it. You know, I remember this film coming out, obviously 1999, American horror comedy, which I don't remember that it's billed on Wikipedia as a
American
comedy horror.
There's not much comedy.
There's not much horror in it.
I mean,
it's more comedic.
Betty White maybe he has some good, and there's a bit of back and forth between Brendan Gleeson and Oliver Platt. That has a little bit of it, but it's not in the line of.
No, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
I remember getting this film out from Blockbusters just to show the age, just to show how long in the tooth I am. Another little creature-related pun, and I was like, fuck, I have this weird aversion, which if you've been listening to our creature features, you'll know I shit myself at when it's kind of aquatic based horrors. And this film did scare the shit out of me when I was young.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's redo it for the creature features. It's a class film. It's big fuck off crocodile in a lake. What more could you want? It's scary, it's great. Stan Winston does the creature effects, you know. And I watched it and I was like, this has got loads of weird comedy in it that I didn't expect, but also it's so light on horror after like the first opening.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, it's a bit bland. There's a so I've got a history of this because this was like, I remember I think I've said this on a podcast that. I remember my late grandfather buying me a bunch of DVDs from Morrison's, and he got me a bunch of horror DVDs. I don't think he cared what they were.
Why not?
He was like, just buy whatever it is and I'll buy them for you. So and I bought a bunch of horror films on DVD. This is back at the very beginning of first getting a DVD, when people were only just about like early getting DVD players and stuff like that.
You were a king.
So it was like American Pie and Evolution and the main DVDs that were out there in the world, kind of thing, that I mainly remember owning. Of that. This was probably like the 4th or 5th DVD I ever owned in my life. So I was like. And so I remember having a nostalgia for this film, because I remember back then, you know, this is brand new DVD, so I probably watched all of those films like a million times, you know.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
You know, many of those ones, you know, loving the comedy of Evolution and becoming a man to American Pie.
Yes, of course. You had your own American Pie moment, didn't you?
Yes. Finding what
Greg sausage roll.
Different things that I could make love to.
Yes. You'll still go through trial and error.
Yeah. Which one works? Which household objects can you make love to? Yeah. That's a teenage boy's journey.
It is.
We almost walk time in their life.
You know, we almost walk it.
So yeah, I remember really like somewhat enjoying this kind of, you know, yes, it has a slight tongue-in-cheekness of the thing. I mean, if you think too much about any moment of this, it becomes a bit completely ridiculous, you know, like in some of the setup or the characters or how they end up in that place in the first place. But I remember it being quite fun. And weirdly, upon rewatch, and this was part of like one of those major like creature features. I mean, this was like a moment of like early CGI. Jurassic Park had come out, and they were making a million different creature features of different ones with a bit of CGI in there, and thinking this is how we're going to make the bank. You know what I mean? You've got Anaconda.
Yeah, absolutely fucks.
Yeah, that one's coming up.
That is coming up.
We've got Mimic, which is, again, I haven't seen it in a very long time. It was a Guillermo del Toro early one. I remember it being really good, like giant bugs in sewers kind of thing. And because of him, maybe it is still good. But the majority of these that I've revisited have not always really stood up to the test of time. So like I said, Anaconda coming up, and I'm worried about that one because I haven't watched it in a long time, and I'm worried it hasn't held up. Because I used to absolutely love that one. That was more videotape, but I was rewatching that one. But we did one recent, Relic, which we'd both never seen. But that one was bland as fuck.
Yeah, it was.
that was pretty poor, really. It wasn't a lot to it. It had its moments, but it was a pretty weak one.
Shiny 90s CGI as well.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, quite a lot of our season is full of these kind of 90s, early 2000s kind of ones.
Yeah.
Because this was a kind of a peak kind of point for it. You had a few back in the Jaws time, and then Jurassic Park kind of revived them, and then they died out for a long time. Not that we haven't still got them in recent years. They still trickle out every once in a while. You've had your Meg.
Sting.
You've had your Crawl.
Yeah, Crawl.
Yeah, some of those ones, and we did Sting. That was okay. And one that I love, actually, probably my Deep Rising, which you haven't seen.
I haven't seen that. No.
The old creature on the boat kind of one, but I watched that one recently, and although it's not amazing, it's still kind of good fun. But yeah, so all parts of those. So revisiting this one was a little bit of a humbling moment of remembering that this was a really fun 90s kind of creature feature, and then being like that. I don't know. There's something about this that just felt like it was lacking to me. Like there was just something that wasn't quite there. Like the characters aren't all built up enough. The horror isn't consistent enough. There's not always enough action. It felt like on several points it just wasn't. Like it didn't try to do enough, and instead has several scenes of talking about things that don't really feel needed in the creature feature.
Yeah, there wasn't much creature in this feature.
As
dog shit. And if you
you see the crocodile a fair amount. I'm just not in the way you want to see the crocodile.
Well, I mean, it has a pretty cool opening.
Yeah,
where
I like the opening.
You get this kind of aerial shot, panning across Lake Placid, which is in Maine, and you get
but it's not actually Lake Placid.
No, it's not the actual Lake Placid, apparently.
And they talk about that in the film, and they didn't film it in Lake Placid, which is really fucking weird to call it then Lake Placid.
Yeah, but I guess
it's calming. Placid.
Yeah.
I said everything's okay, everything's fine, but yeah.
But
it was actually called into somewhere called like Black Lake or something like that.
Yeah.
Which Black Lake's a cooler name.
Yeah, and kind of more fear-inducing as well. But I quite like the opening where you don't see the crocodile. They don't blow the load fucking on the first pump, and you get the scuba diver going under, and then him kind of eating it, bitten in half underwater.
Yeah, and it's quite gory cool as well.
And it makes you think, oh shit, we've got Brendan Gleeson,
yeah,
Bill Pullman, two absolute dogs
against
a real gory man-eating kind of crocodile, and then it just seems to. It seems to not really go anywhere.
Not a lot of death really happen when you expect it to. A few people are taken out in other scenes, but it does feel like it gets this kind of more okay, we're more going to focus on the characters and stuff like that, as if someone was thinking we're going to take the template of something like Jaws, and be like, well, that has a lot of actual exposition, and actually that has a lot of character points, and there's not actually as much as people always think there kind of is existing within that thing. So that must be what it is, kind of thing. But the problem is that they built interesting and unique characters that were well written and well formed.
Yeah.
Here, sadly, it never seems like you really fully get to know half of them. We know that Oliver Platt's character
Hector Sear.
Yeah.
Kind of this weird fucking.
I mean, he
billionaire.
He gets to be shagger. He gets to be at least more a little bit more flesh, purely because he seems to constantly be I don't know. He's full on when you see him on screen. So at least he's kind of makes an impression.
He pipes at one point.
He does pipe. Yeah. He gets the one cut. You look at him and look at her and be like, why are you so interested?
Bill Pullman's right there.
Yeah, that's Bill Pullman. God damn it.
Bill Pullman's the absolute doc. It's such just a weird film.
Yeah, it has. I think it has its moment. We have a 30-foot crocodile made by Stan Winston, which is really, quite a cool kind of effect.
It does look good.
And I know that they did actually want to go. Steve Miner was put on record saying that he actually he was actually trying to avoid the whole Jaws thing. It was like a lot of the films have just played into Jaws and they never show it. So we want to build one and we want to actually have it more on like shown, more bigger shown, more crocodile shown, and you do get to act, you do see it above water maybe more than you ever did say with something like Jaws. But it's more the fact that once it is above water, although we're seeing it, I mean, a lot of people always say the terror is the fact you can't see it anyway. It's how it's cleverly used. But with this, it's we are seeing it, but it's not necessarily always like awe-inducing or terrifying because it's not always used in the best way. There are a few scenes that stand out from that, but
I think the highlight of the film is the crocodile. Like there's a really good shot where I keep wanting to call him Olivier, but Oliver Platt is kind of like out swimming. And you see like the crocodile slowly coming towards him. It's kind of like an aerial shot. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of the times when the crocodile is on screen, it's pretty good. It just feels like the crocodile isn't on screen much. And it's also quite strange because if you compare it to Jaws, where they spend quite some time being like, maybe this girl Chrissy died. Maybe she got hit by a boat, and when she was tired, X, Y, Z, and it takes a little while for anybody to kind of really believe that there's a shark. I think it's after Alex Kittner's death, where everybody kind of sees it. They're like, "Oh fuck, this is what's going on," and even then, the mayor's denying it. Whereas with this, it's very quickly that they're like, there's a crocodile, like there's 100% a crocodile. We need to gather this kind of like Avengers team of people to go and get it, because you have that you have like a paleontologist, I believe she is Bridget Fonda, who's been shagging her college professor or whatever it is,
and now she's been dumped or something like that. They dump her by someone else working at work. The little introduction we get with her,
and she's like, "Well, you're gonna go have to deal with this crocodile." Just to get rid of her.
It's a really weird. I know that's one thing that I've seen point out. A lot of people point out about this one is the whole idea that you have like a paleontologist for the bones and stuff like that, and like recognizing and stuff like that. But a lot of people are like, okay, I mean, maybe they look because it's such a big creature. They want to check. I don't know. It's like a fucking dinosaur that's come back to life, or been hidden away for centuries, or things like that. But once she's done it, and that happens fairly quickly. Once they see it, it's like, we don't need you anymore. You don't have to hang around now. And like, it always feels like I guess the Bill Pullman pulls her in, but
of course,
of course it does.
She's only human.
But it's weird. I really like Bill Pullman, and yet I think that weirdly he has very little to do in this film. I feel like he's so underused. And therefore lacking his normal charm that I actually like him in. A lot of like his 90s stuff that I've seen him in, Independence Day, or I think there's While You Were Sleeping is more of a rom-com. But like, he's quite a charming lad, you know what I mean? And he's used in quite a lot of these roles, but this one seems like it's one of his blandest I've ever seen.
It really does.
He's not there. I think Brendan Gleeson and Oliver Platt get fun to kind of bounce off each other, but him and Bridget Fonda have very little chemistry. Because they never give them a chance to build much chemistry, I don't think.
And you feel like you're watching this, and it's like a weird rom-com between Brendan Gleeson and Oliver Platt, and you're like, well, these two characters have got to fuck. And then
I mean, if that was the film, this would be a much more interesting film.
Two sweaty hogs.
You know what I mean? They're basically like get rid of the other two characters, have these two camping out in the middle of wild, fighting with each other all the time while trying to kill a crocodile. Basically, Brokeback Mountain meets this film, and suddenly you've got a proper film on your hands. You know what I mean? Like slapstick. Just midway through, the crocodile just peeks his head up, but they're too busy in the tent.
Yeah, of course. And it's like an Austin Powers thing where they're like the crocodile's watching. And he's like pulling sausages out, and Brendan Gleeson's bent over, and it looks like he's pulling something out of his ass, like that kind of comedy. That's what I want. Yeah,
well, except it's not a comedy. Like this time, they've actually decided to make love. They make love. He's pulling sausages. Those are sausage anal beads.
Sausage-shaped anal beads. I haven't said it yet, so if you enjoy conversations like this, very enlightening, remember to hit that subscribe button, and please leave us a lovely review. Just that quick segue in there. The bit where they go out on the canoe and then the deputy gets his head bitten off is quite cool.
Yeah, I liked that one as well. Yeah, the opening one in the thing are the ones that stood out in my head the majority out of this film. To be honest, was pretty much that opening cut in half, and then when his head is lopped off. Like I think that again, this is when like earlier in the film we feel like we're warming up, so it feels like this promise.
Yeah.
So it's not that this film is like a total like write off or anything like that. It's early on like those scenes like that, and then this scene, they get tipped over, and obviously you've got her, and she's completely out of her element, and rightfully does the freaked out kind of lady. That seems to be most of, sadly, what she kind of is given in this film is to be the one to like react and scream.
Yeah.
This scene, like with you again, the shots when you're more seeing like almost the crocodiles like movement through the water and stuff like that. I liked a lot of those ones, and the way you can see the water rippling and stuff like that adds a lot to it. But this scene when it's better with the noise, because obviously they're trying to pull the kind of like it's like an emitter, isn't it? Like a vibration to kind of a vibrator.
They just stuck a dildo.
This will get him.
This will get him.
Put it on max speed, baby.
He wants to masturbate.
Yeah. I think Oliver Platt's character just straight down.
He's just
down. But yeah, as he's pulling it back up, like I think it adds quite a cool tension for it to suddenly go bang, his head's there, and again, it has got the good kind of gore level to it.
It's a good level while still keeping it kind of like. So I think it's a 15-12A. So it never feels particularly like gratuitous.
Well, the scuba divers it does show a shot of
shows
military in half kind of
and
thing.
That's what
it must be a 15 because that would have been 12.
No,
Scar the kids, right?
But that would be it. See what like that's good. The scuba diver at the start.
Got him when it goes for the grizzly bear.
Yeah, that's the first bit of like CGI. That's the
major CGI. I mean, it doesn't look completely terrible, but it's the bear's real until suddenly it turns into an animation.
But it's the like I said, late 90s. Everything's very shiny CGI. And I want you to make me this promise because we're going to watch Jurassic Park. A little teaser. When we do our book versus film. We've got to do Jurassic Park, and everybody always says, "Oh, the CGI on Jurassic Park stands out. It looks dog shit.
It does not look dog shit.
Dog shit.
It's amazing CGI on that.
It's not amazing. When we watch,
you've watched some bad quality or something.
No, I watched it in Blu-ray, DVD quality. So you can still defend that opinion, but watch it and. Just look at it. Everything
it still looks so
shiny.
much better than most stuff.
Not this.
It might look shiny, but it still looks better than most films.
I don't think so.
It looks better than modern films. Several modern films look worse than that.
PS1 graphics.
It's the way it's used as well. The lighting, the setting, the things like that. Like if you're trying to like really close look at it, but it doesn't matter because in the general shot things, you're not seeing it that way.
We could argue about it.
We will be arguing it that way.
There's a teaser for you, but I think it's a good scene and. If you're looking at all of the, every creature feature has that point where you get like the real reveal of what the creature is. And I know we're saying what the creature is, but we know what a fucking crocodile looks like. We can Google what a crocodile looks like. But if you think about the seeded jaws, where you first see it properly, where he's chucking the chum out, it's fucking terrifying. It still is terrifying.
Just popping his head up.
Just pops his head out. What do you think about this one? Because I don't know whether the CGI kind of makes it gets rid of some of that scale and some of that like.
What with the bear?
With the bear, gets rid of the feel of some of it.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a weird time to just in this scene to just randomly reveal it like that. I feel like it needed another moment when it appeared. Do you mean like full form? Because don't you see its head when he's after the canoe, like when it's coming towards Bridget?
You see the head.
Yeah, you see the top of the head, like the full body. Yeah. Well, I guess in George you only see the head as well. It doesn't do like a flip in there, but I think it's an odd one for a full reveal at that early point kind of thing to make it fully come out like that. And early on, I thought, is there more than one kind of? Is this not full size kind of thing? But he's a big ass bastard.
He's a big bastard.
I do love the fact that there was like when they were making this film, in order to transport it, they transported it on the back of a huge lorry.
Yeah.
Literally that whole crocodile though, like, but they could have covered it over, things like that, but no, they drove down the motorway with it fully revealed. So it literally looked, and if you look at the picture, because it was, you know, a really well made thing, like I saw pictures of it and I was just like, fucking hell, like people definitely driving by would have been like, that is the fuck is that crocodile? Jesus,
one guy just fucking kills it.
Yeah, just like,
it's my duty to end this.
Yeah,
he can't live.
Just out in America, just pull it out there.
Yeah.
Their multiple weapons, just blasting it on the back of the truck. We can't. Dinosaur.
This creature can't live.
I mean, this is the weird thing that I felt like that this felt, you know, when we're talking through the plot here, it moves pretty swiftly through it because it's only like an 82-minute film or something like that.
Yeah.
80, something like that. So it should feel like it was hitting at a really strong pace. But, you know, and even if if I'm looking at my little plot synopsis to help me remember, you know, there's a bit when they're like before the bear attack, when they're all like camping out and stuff like that. But I remember that feeling weirdly like long. Like they're just like sat around making plans. Oliver Platt and Brendan Gleeson are bouncing off each other, getting pissed off at each other.
He makes all of the traps.
Yeah, yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna trap. You know, I'm gonna put the traps up. He's distracting all of the people. You know,
he's a character, Oliver Platt, that would be, you know, you're either going to love it or hate it kind of thing. He's that weird scientist guy. I kind of like the whole, like, especially the weird trap things, you know, the little comedy parts, I guess, of people getting, like, caught in the trap.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, okay, you know, I kind of weirdly like the fact that he's so oddly confident in everything he does that he's, like, you're just waiting to, like, thinking, like, he seems like a character who's going to die anytime soon, so it's kind of well done in that. And Brendan Gleeson's great and stuff like that. But it is hard to be like, the material here just isn't strong enough that I do look at it and go, I'm very surprised that you got this array of actually quite strong actors to do this film.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It makes me feel
it's
like
before Brendan Gleeson was like bigger than he is.
Yeah,
now.
but it makes me think that they expected this to maybe real kind of roll with it and be like a big hitter.
Yeah, I think they did think that this was going to be a big hitter.
But it's so tonally all over the place. Like, it's not wacky and funny enough to be a proper comedy, and it doesn't really have much horror in it to be a bona fide horror or creature feature. It's such a strange film because at 82 minutes it should be pretty pacey, but it feels longer, and it feels like there's so much that's just people talking. There's such little crocodile, but if you look at the like the plot summary, they have the bit where, you know, we've just spoken about the crocodile, the grizzly bear attack, and then you get the scene with Betty White, which is a really good scene.
Betty White is normally put as one of the standouts of this film for the fact that you get to see Betty White just fucking go in like at it and just fucking swearing her head off. For it. And it is fucking funny when you hear them talking to the policeman and stuff and basically calling them cunts.
Yeah, and she says that it's heavily implied that she fucking killed her husband.
Yeah. He accidentally went out with the cow and the cow got caught. He got caught with or whatever it was. It's like, yeah, it sounds like you just sent your husband out to die.
That's it. But then you have the bit where, like, Oliver Platt, I'm just going to keep calling him by his name.
No, yeah, I'm not using any of the
characters.
I'll
give up all of the characters' names.
Yeah, I know all the actors because they're all fairly well-known actors, but I don't know the characters' names.
No, but they go out and, you know, that's that bit I mentioned where Oliver Platt's got that weird helicopter that has, like, the crocodile skin decal, so it's just
this really huge helicopter, you know, plots armor there that somehow is such a large one that is not only flotation, but it also seems to have the widest entrance for a helicopter you've ever seen in your life. I wonder why.
Yeah.
Is there possibly a reason why this is an extra huge size helicopter?
Yeah, it's like an army one. It's fucking weird. And then, you know, they distract it with a raft, and there's some tension there, but also it kind of like, I don't know. It's
that scene. Yeah. That was one of the. I think up until like the reveal of the thing. I think it was somewhere around the camp scene that I started to kind of dwindle in interest a little bit. I was like, this isn't this for a film of this length. It feels like it's not pacey enough. It's not, you know, hitting enough. There's not enough like tension for the character to die.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, I was interested by the the bit with Betty White, but when it came to this bit and he's trying to trap it, it's heavily pushed as if one of these people is going to die because they're making a stupid decision, to go out with that boat and stuff like that. But there was something about this scene that weirdly, like, even though he goes in the water and it's like that, because it seems so like, I don't know if this is going to die, and this just seems like such a stupid decision. There was something that just made it completely like hollow to me. This part of the scene, and that's when it really started. The film started to feel a bit empty because it was like. These are meant to be people that are experts in their field making all these choices, and he's meant to be the wild card.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's doing his choices and stuff like that, but it just feels like this is not a decision that someone would make to do, like for him to be like, I'm a fucking millionaire, I'm gonna dive in with this crocodile, I'm gonna be fine. I've already seen him rip down a bear and take off people's heads suddenly, but I'm gonna be absolutely fine to jump in the water
in his
territory and be like, this is going to be fine. So the second he turns around, like you can tell the fear when he's like, I fucked up. It's like, you fucked up, but he still somehow makes it out of there alive, even though he's basically at one point like crocodile him. It's like, how the fuck does this happen?
It's weird.
And then, I think it's also the sudden lack to kill off anyone.
Yes.
It suddenly decides that none of these people are going to die.
Which is,
and I feel like you oddly feel that, as if it's like, if he's going to survive that, then it feels like Bill Pullman, Bridget Fonda, Brenda, they're all going to be absolutely fine then. But there's no one else really to kill here. The only one you're worried about is the one who's banging the cop in the thing. I thought she was going to somehow, like, he made a stupid choice, she's going to die
for it.
But then she doesn't go either, or the crocodile's going to jump up and go for the helicopter, or properly go for it. Like, really, I know when they're flying up, we get a bit of a moment there, but I don't know. That was the point where I started to be like, all the stakes of this film are like dead now.
Well, I think that's also brings me to like another problem I have with the film, which is the actual plot itself. So if you look at, like, I think Jaws is a great example because it pioneered a lot of this stuff, and there's tension there, but there's also stakes. Like, if they don't get this sorted, then it's not just the people going out on the boat. It's not just Matt, Brody, and Quint who are going to die. Amity's got to be fucked as well because it's a summer town and there's more people who are going to be feasted on.
We've already had women and children die.
But then people will lose jobs and income and all that. So you feel like the stakes of it, but then it also has this thing about, people going out there and trying to best nature, and has these really interesting moments to it. Other creature features which never quite capture the kind of magic of that, they almost feel a bit more like, kind of like slasher films almost, where you have a core group of characters, they end up in a shitty situation and they have to escape this creature, and then the creature ends up killing them off one by one. Whereas this, it just feels like, maybe because it's in a lake and they have more time to be like strategic about it, it doesn't feel like there's many stakes there. And also, like you said, you don't really feel as if the main core characters are at risk of anything, because it will just be like, okay, we're going out onto the lake, let's bring in this random like deputy who hasn't been in the film at all. Well, the random deputy's got to die. Like,
here they are. They're not part of the. You're right. Like, these creature features do tend. I mean, the reason that Jaws is still always the golden one of it is because it was more complex than just a simple, a simple like who's going to die next. That was almost the side parts to the plot of the film. That wasn't the plot of the film for the next person to die. And I think in some way this one tries to be like, they're trying with the whole like, actually there's actually someone who's feeding them and there's something happened here and we're actually trying to keep this creature alive, is almost the way that they're justifying that this makes it, not just a who's next kind of one. Because you do have, the creature features do tend to fall in either who's getting picked off one by one in this state that they are. Here's the characters we introduced at the beginning, and one by one they're going to die until we're left with a core group or things like that. And some of them, mainly the Spielberg made ones, are the ones that kind of rise above that kind of thing and have a bit more complexity to them. But the rest of them fall into either it's one by one, or it's like the hunt to find out information about what this is.
Yeah.
The problem here is they give that information really quickly. There's not really anyone else to kill except the people they bring in, which takes away the stakes and also takes away the mystery very quickly, because they've also shown the crocodile quite quickly. So therefore you're kind of left with what else is there to kind of see, else is there to actually do with this film now. And now it feels like we're now watching a film that's meant to be about a killer croc, but we're trying to save the croc technically. It's like, okay, that's fair enough. But, you know, if they'd done this in a place that was more of a thriving community, that could make the difference. You know, if this was closer to somewhere like, hey, there's a local town down there, and if this crocodile decides to come out of its... Yeah. We've disturbed it now. It had its habitat, but you guys fucked that up. If he goes down to that town down there... It's going to be gobbling. Yeah. We've suddenly got some stakes with the idea that we need to do this in a time frame. This film has none of that. No. It has no rush to do anything. And at one point in the film, they pretty much say, which is that he's been here for an extremely long time. No one's disturbed him. And to be fair, right now, we haven't really done enough to disturb him. Why can't we just fucking leave him and just keep this area like detained and keep them away from him? Couldn't we just do that? And they're like, yeah, and then there's just one person who's like, but just in case he decides to get us back, like, but you've solved your thing, and you've also proven that you have no real stakes. This creature is actually not a threat to anything until their 6 sequels or whatever the fuck they did, where they decided to turn it into, here's those beach girls or whatever the fuck happens in the sequels, or here's an anaconda. Yeah, because obviously when they turn it into just a generic crocodile movie. Here, I understand there is some message in there about the preservation of their habitat and their world and their community, but it leads to a film which I think the main thing that came away from me was just the fact that I was like, I have no one to root for, and I have no one that no one actually feels greatly at threat. The only people at threat are the people who are directly putting themselves in threat for no reason whatsoever. Yeah. So why are we doing? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and that's it. When you play through the plot of this film, you know, it feels very much like it's, you know, they're just trying to get it out of there to somewhere else, and you start to wonder why. You know, I feel like we're at a point where it's like, just gate off this area. You know what I mean? Like, protect this area. Sanctuary. It's a sanctuary for this creature, but instead they're like, no, we need to get it and capture it and take it somewhere else and take it to another place and things like that. It's like, you've basically implied it may have been here for like 100 bloody years or something like that. Just minding its business, you know? Or different, like as in its family have, like, it's been like passed on to be bigger. Yeah. And Betty White's helped to feed it right up, but you know, I think that was my major thing, is the fact that basically, like, after majority of this, barely anyone else actually, like, death-wise. Yeah. There's very few deaths, and there's very few people that ever feel like death is actually coming for them. Oliver Platt's scene, yes, to be fair, is the only scene when I thought that he or her would be the ones to go, but it's the last time, and this is just over halfway through the film, when I feel like I've got any major threat. The final showdown only felt like they were putting themselves into problems and causing problems,
trying to trap it.
Yeah, I mean, you have the one when she's floating in the water and the crocodile's coming is it's the one, you know, as I said earlier, that's the one that's on the poster for the film and things like that, and you get her in a similar situation towards the end of the film.
When she's underneath and she's kind of like going around those like wooden struts, that's quite cool. Yeah, and visually it looks quite good.
It's like moments, isn't it?
But it's moments. Yeah. And then there's something which I think is absolute dog shit. And it's not the only kind of creature feature that does this, but it's at the very end, you know, when they've got the crocodile trapped, which I think it's an interesting choice to be like, let's preserve it as opposed to just fucking blow it up.
Yeah, I like the idea. Just the execution isn't quite there.
But then, you know, they trap it, and then there's just another crocodile just comes out of nowhere.
Oh yeah.
And then they just blow that one up. And I never like when either include a whole bunch and make us know that there's a whole fucking bunch of them.
Yeah.
Because then you get more fun with killing them off and having more on screen. However, when you do that and then you just kill off like the bigger one, and you only have like 10 minutes left of the film, so you have to wrap it up really quickly.
Yeah.
You just make that final one seem like no threat at all, you know?
Yeah. It does. It lowers that creature's fear factor kind of thing. It makes it less scary. But I really dislike that as well, because that felt to me like a studio note from someone outside of the director being like, yeah, but no, it's like in Jaws he got blown up.
Yeah, blown up.
So you've got all these guns. You've implied to the audience that someone's getting shot or blown up, and you haven't done it to this crocodile. Can we have another one just pop out of the water just for the sake of it? We haven't implied there's another one here. This one's big enough that it feels like it probably would have eaten another one if it was about properly. or it's like that. But actually, when we have shown much smaller ones around and stuff like that, it shows that this crocodile's, again, that lowered the thing with the stakes as well, because they did show like her like feeding some like smaller ones and stuff like that. Which
they showed that at the end.
They're the little baby ones, but I swear there was a scene when there was like, when she feeds like, I thought she fed like some slight normal sized crocodile.
No, it's just that one scene where they see her feeding one, but you're led to believe that it's just one crocodile. Yeah, this is supposed to be.
I just remember him not looking quite as big in that scene when she was feeding.
It's the problem with like creature perspectives. They always change.
But again, I don't know. Just like the idea that there was just suddenly another croc that was just living when he jumped out of the water just to kill one bear. You know what I mean? Just for the sake of like, hey, there's a bear here. Like, feels like he would have destroyed anything else that lives there.
They would have fought.
Yeah. So it literally was purely just to be like, oh, we need to blow something up. After all of this, you got to blow something up. We've got to let Brendan Gleeson have a moment of destroying something.
I'm sure they do the exact same thing in The Meg, where they spend the whole film fighting this one Meg. They kill it, and then it's like, oh, there's a bigger one. And then it's like, oh, we killed that in like 5 minutes. It's fine, don't worry about it. It just gets rid of so much tension.
Yeah, it takes away from that, but it's just that in my head, like the whole like the helicopter going down, and I like the way, I do quite like the whole, the whole him trapped inside the helicopter. I like these ideas, and I like the ideas of the preservation of life and things like that. Although you completely undermine it when you preserve one crocodile blowing everyone to shit just because the other crocodile's jumping out of the water at you. It's like, well, that other crocodile did plenty as well, but you didn't fucking. It also leaves us to believe the whole film is like, well, that one looked really violent. This one's not been that violent. Maybe that was the actual... maybe that's the one that lopped the heads off people and things like that. Because I kept thinking, the size of that crocodile, when they like jumped up and lopped the head off, I was like, feels like he's big enough that it wouldn't just be like lopping the head off. He would have like taken a lot more with him.
Body,
it feels like he probably could have put his mouth around that canoe and just been like, I'm going to chomp down on this shit. So, it literally makes you question the whole rest of the film. The more I'm like thinking about it, going, well, that was the bad one. This one's fucking done nothing. This is an okay one then, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you killed the baddie, but you just didn't know you had the wrong one the whole time.
Well, that's the twist.
It's like, yeah, that's it. This one's vegan.
The crocodile that's tied up at the end winks at the camera.
Yeah.
And that's the tease for the sequel. The bad one survived.
For some reason in my head it just went to like Looney Tunes. That's all.
Maybe it is a bit like that. Or Thriller.
Again, like in my head, it's just like, it's really weird in terms of like the characters as well. I think Oliver Platt and Brendan Gleeson have a lot more to do. It's really weird that the two ones, she's mainly played about, and I barely remember what Bill Pullman does in any of it. It feels like he's barely in the fight. It feels like he's just there to be like stood on the sidelines half the time, being like, you should be here, or hey, I don't know, nice skirt, or whatever. Whatever lines he says in this film. I do not remember him.
Remember him at the start by some truck, and he's like getting a tranquilizer out, or he's getting something out, and he says to a deputy, like, "Oh, go and do this," and then he meets Bridget Fonda, and then he just goes to the background, and it's so fucking.
I just don't
weird.
remember like he's Jack, isn't he? But I don't remember him like. He's not the one to. You know what I mean? It's like Bill Pullman is the main name on this film. Bill Pullman does no action towards Bill Pullman barely gets anywhere near the water. Bill Pullman doesn't pull a gun at the end to blast him in. So it's like he's just the guy handing stuff to other people.
He just hands things,
Bill Pullman, the extra.
So...
but again, I just like, you get little bits of the camp scene and things like that. But even with that like end teaser with them like, oh yeah, how about you stay in town and let's go out for that date. There's no bar down the road or whatever. That's what it accounts for. But that feels like, to me, that last scene felt like one of the few times when we actually got a moment of like, we should probably build some chemistry because we want to end it on like they got together.
They fuck.
It's like that.
Yeah.
But like they had a little bit of the camp scenes of that, and they had like moments of things, but there was never enough to actually be like, we're trying to build a relationship.
Yeah.
So at the end, it just kind of feels like, okay, I mean, she's a bit strange in town.
Yeah.
Go off and fuck. But it doesn't feel like this is going anywhere other than that. I like the little, at the end with the little tease of the baby crocodiles and stuff like that. But by that point, you're just kind of like, mainly I just like, like most people say, I'm mainly just in like the bits that of the comedy that only really made me go was pretty much when Betty White was pretty much absolutely ripping into Brendan Gleeson.
Yeah, that was
like,
it.
You absolute like
you
absolute hearing Betty White going, you absolute cocksucker, or
it's quite
acting like a cunt or things like that. Like, okay, that's fine, but it's just sadly that it's a film that is just it's got some good ideas and one or two moments, but generally as a whole film just feels flaccid.
It is. It's Lake Placid.
It is. There's not a great. I did try to look into some like background stuff for that, but I couldn't find a great deal of that. I know that pretty much following Halloween H2O, Steve Miner pretty much did this, and then it seemed like his career started to go like right downhill after this film. I don't know if this film is to blame, but
he did Friday the 13th Part 2, 3.
Yeah,
H2O,
his earlier stuff was much bigger, like House,
Warlock.
Yeah,
I know he did the Day of the Dead remake, which I think we've mentioned this on that Friday the 13th Part 2 episode we did. That wasn't great, No,
but that's what I mean by like literally. If you think about like this, he's got films with like Mel Gibson, like things like that. He's got several films with quite big actors, and then he gets the Halloween one, which was a success. H2O, and it was. Fairly well received. A lot of people liked that one, give or take some problems production-wise. But then you got Lake Placid, where he's given this big one and it flops. And then after that, he mainly seems to have made a lot of lower, smaller films. Or, one that sat all one, Texas Rangers. Sounds like they were trying to make a big one, but they cast actors like James Van Der Beek to be the main star, so I couldn't understand why that went down.
Yeah, well done.
But yeah, like, it does seem like his... in terms of film, his career suddenly was lost after this film.
Yeah,
and it sounds seems like this this flop may have hurt him quite badly. Like it seemed like he was probably offered like a bunch of after H2O, like which one do you want to do?
Things,
Let's do that crocodile film, and nah.
Have you seen any of the sequels?
I have not watched any of this. I believe there are 6 films in the Lake Placid franchise.
Films,
I think so, yeah. I think there are 6 in the legacy of...
I mean, I could see Lake Placid.
Then there's also, like, some of them say Lake Placid, but some people say they're not necessarily
not real sequels.
Officially, but yeah, 2, 3, Lake Placid, the final chapter.
Yes.
But then... we have the Anaconda ones, but then actually it's not even on this list, but several people say that there is a Lake Placid and Anaconda film.
Yeah, there is. It's on I
think these are the ones when they're saying they don't, so that apparently the main timeline is the 4 Lake Placid 2, 3 in the final chapter, but I believe there are 2 other that use the Lake Placid title and a crocodile but are not official.
Lake Placid Legacy. To be fair, the poster for that does look quite cool.
Yeah.
Go check the poster for Lake Placid Legacy, which has a 1.7 on Letterboxd.
Compared to Lake Placid, the final chapter, which is just a dire fucking
That's dog shit.
A crocodile that looks kind of like one of those blow-up ones around a woman's body, which is just looks absolute shit.
Yeah, that doesn't look fun at all.
Yeah.
Black Lake is now a crocodile sanctuary surrounded by an electric fence. When the fence is left open, a high school bus unknowingly enters the park. It's up to Reba and the sheriff to save the kids from becoming crocodile food. I've known 2 people who have watched it, and one gave it a 3 star.
What, Lake Placid 2?
Lake Placid, the final chapter.
The final chapter, sorry.
Yes.
3 stars?
3 hey.
I mean, I'm not. Maybe it is. Maybe it's a strong film. For one of them.
They gave Lake Placid
there is a good chance that
2.5 stars.
There is a good chance that some of these sequels, to be honest, just for pure like gore and splatter and things, are probably a good sit down with a beer and just turn your brain off and be like, fuck it, like.
I can imagine so.
I just don't. I can't imagine that any of them actually really match the tone of this original film, because it just doesn't set itself up as a real like, oh, who's dying one after the other. Whereas those I don't know, Sci-Fi Channel sequels or whatever they are, those ones are literally like, I'm assuming, are mainly just like people standing around and then chomp and then splatter and then chomp and then splatter, and it's just people in bikinis getting killed.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah. They're going for that. It's like Camp Crystal Lake meets Lake Placid.
Pretty much. I mean, do you have anything else to add about Lake Placid?
No. I think that sadly this is a revisit of a long time where it's... I don't know. I can't say it's bad, because it's not totally bad. But it's also not enjoyable fun.
Yeah.
It is, as I said at the beginning, the word bland is the main one that comes into my head. It is just, it's there. Your little flacid of, it's trying to rise up, but it never quite, quite gets full attention.
Even a blue pill wouldn't help it,
Yeah.
It just doesn't get there, And yeah, it was nice to kind of revisit it for that nostalgia. But I kind of feel like it's just not, it's just not there. It's it's a dud, unfortunately.
Yeah, interested in what people think about it. I've seen people that are quite on the side of this film. They're like, why do so many people hate this film? I think it's so like crap and stuff like that. And I understand why people would be very like kind of a bit bored of this film. I found myself losing interest as the film went along. So that's not a good sign when you've got an 82-minute film and you're kind of like totally,
this
is
is
like,
fucking
know what I mean, there are children's animations that take less time, things like that. I mean, it's a short film, it shouldn't lag. It shouldn't feel that. So that's always a bad sign with these kind of films. And you underused Bill Pullman.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I think it's time to put this one to bed.
I mean, they can bring it back, a reboot with Lewis Pullman. try and raise it back up again.
Do a Jaws for the Revenge, where Bill Pullman gets killed by the crocodile at the start, and Lewis Pullman has to come back and pound ass.
Yeah, and get Michael Caine in it.
Yeah, okay.
For no reason at all. Give him a plane because that.
Just because of that.
Just to be Michael Caine and just be like, I'm here just because you'll go through trauma and you need someone to make love to.
You need to make love to an old British man.
Yeah, that's all I'm going
You need to make tender love to an old British man.
Well, is there any better way to end the legacy of sequels?
That's it. I mean, if there's any studio execs watching, you can come and let us know. If you're interested. I'm thinking a budget of 400 million.
Bring back Oliver Platt and Brendan Gleeson and make the long-awaited Brokeback Mountain style crocodile film that we think should have been made in the first place.
Marry that with our idea for a legacy sequel. It's just old men.
All these ideas are together.
Fucking. Old men fucking on Lake Placid. That's the title.
If this ever makes any money, we'll start making films. And our first one is to make this film.
Yeah.
By that point, a lot of Michael Caine probably
they'll all be dead. It'll be CGI, AI making.
Lewis Pullman was probably only the same age as us. But,
but
they'll all be dead.
They have to be, by hook or by crook. Come and let us know your thoughts on Lake Placid, whether it's hashtag full of bite or whether it's hashtag flacid tonight. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at CMTH Podcast. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and leave us a lovely review. Play us out, boys.